Hello there, my dulcet darlings, and a very warm welcome back to the channel. Speaking of very warm, the weather is glorious where I am today, which is fortunate because the poem I am sharing with you today is more than a little chilling. We are, in fact, on the second part of a two-part series. In part 1, we were introduced to two girls living in different periods. The first was Angelita, the illegitimate child of the master of Caxton Hall. Hidden for the first few years of her life, she was taken on as a maid or pet for the master's young wife. For a little over a year, Angelita was treated with kindness. Sadly, as soon as the woman's own daughter was born, she started to mistreat Angelita, culminating in Angelita's death when the mistress of the house slapped her and knocked her down the main staircase. Thus, Angelita became the resident ghost of Caxton Hall. 100 years, to the day after Angelita's death, Gracie May, a pregnant teenager, stood crying in the door of the mother and baby home. She had been abandoned by everyone who should have cared about her, and quickly learned that the nuns who ran the place were as vicious as a group of hungry termagants. That was where we left Gracie, trying to find her feet in a terrible new place and understand if the rumors of a ghostly child are real or just a distraction from the everyday horrors of the place. What will happen next? Well, you know how to find out. Grab your footstools and your cool drinks. Set up your fans, and let us dive back into the windswept darkness of Caxton Hall. Ghostly. Part 2. Things had been getting worse for quite a while now. 3 months after the nuns welcomed Gracie, something happened that prompted a rebellion, after which the girls agreed they should flee. A girl called Joan was washing dinner dishes in the kitchen. She was deathly weary. 7 months gone, her back and legs were hurting. Pain left her both unsteady and teary. She'd paused and was looking out the dark window when Angelita's ghost went skipping past. Shock and fear made her cry out loud. Her hand jerked, and she dropped and smashed just one drinking glass. The sound drew the sisters. They found Joan crying. On the floor at her feet, the shards of glass. For her crime, the nuns dragged her to the garden, strung her up to the tree, and whipped her fast. So long and hard that poor Joan lost her baby. That night, as Joan sobbed in the dark cellar, huddled next to the shriveled-up dead body of the young girl who had preceded her, the girls agreed that enough was enough now, and if any were to save their own babies, they'd have to break the rules of their foul dungeon, slip bonds of fear, and break all of them free. If they could not do that, then they'd die trying. Better they all seek in heaven a place, then surrender the babes growing within them to nuns who lacked all goodness and all grace. The harridans deserved no pause nor mercy. Any softness in them had long since gone. Gracie knew she would kill for her own baby. She didn't care if that was right or wrong. So, on a stormy night, when the wind howled, in mourning, like an unforgiven soul, deprived of rest, of hope, of love and true peace, 28 pregnant women sought their goal. They'd put blue tack in the dormitory lock so that it closed but did not latch behind. They waited for the whole house to go silent, then gathered what possessions they could find, and crept from the room, blankets worn like thick cloaks, their eyes squinting, their nervous voices low. As they went, each one bearing 2 racing hearts. They prayed a miracle would let them go, safe from the house. Gracie was the one who found, in the Bible, in the hall, the spare key. She turned it in the lock and nearly stepped out. When she remembered Joan, "God forgive me," she told the girl behind her, waving her on. Turning, she crept down to the cellar door. Joan was waiting when Gracie unlocked it. She said, "No one will be harmed here anymore." Gracie had not planned what came next. Nonetheless, what they needed was so simple to find. It almost seemed some other intelligence had planned her footsteps. In its awesome mind, they had matches and paper, even kindling, so they would not, as murderers, be framed. They meant to see the other girls off safely, then put the bloody manor to the flame. They were the last 2 remaining when Gracie hurried up to her dormitory bed to find the one possession she held precious, tucked in the pillowcase, safe 'neath her head. She'd kept it where the sisters would not find it. Her mother had said she should bring it there. Whether to scold or comfort, Grace was not sure. It was fabric embroidered with a prayer. The prayer was called "A Plea for Grace Undeserved." It began, "I have sore offended thee." Gracie pocketed it. She whispered, "Dear God, if aught done tonight is wrong, then blame me." So done, Gracie moved through the upstairs hallway, thinking that the small exit out the back would let the nuns escape with their lives, at least. Hopefully, they'd be too panicked to track the runaway girls. Those girls, who'd be welcomed, were going to head for their home cities. As for those who would not, "We'll stick together," Gracie told herself. "We'll be family." Gracie was so fixed on her future planning that, as she neared the top of the grand stair, she didn't see that her foray for the prayer had woken the person who now stood there, staring at her with bloodshot eyes so hateful that even Satan, if asked, could not tell the difference between those violent orbs and the eyes of the foulest hound of red hell. Yes, it was the mother, although no being born had deserved the honored title less. Not even Lilith, who engendered monsters, was such a generator of distress. The harridan had heard a creaking floorboard, and, grinning, had risen from bed to see which of her young charges would now bear her wrath. She'd been devising horrors pleasantly when she had seen the front door standing open and footprints in the rain that glowed and shone in the moonlight. By their shape and their number, she knew that nearly all the girls were gone. She swore, and then, a second later, her fist struck Gracie's face, knocking her to the floor. Gracie fell hard, gasping in pain and surprise, knowing that this blow would spawn many more. The mother struck again. Gracie gasped and crawled back until she met the wooden banister. Gracie did not cover her face or shoulders. Instead, she kept her arms in front of her, protecting her child. The abbess kicked and spat. Her hands were crabbed. Her eyes were black with rage. Gracie waved to Joan to go on and to live, find better days, and thus turn a new page. She didn't want the girl to bear the horror of witnessing her slow, violent end. Whether hell or heaven's embrace awaited, what mattered most was the fate of her friend. Joan obeyed. Gracie was glad and heartbroken. She thanked God and lamented all the same. She hoped Joan would remember her with kindness, rather than with censure and bitter blame. "They have already gone," young Gracie said then. "Listen, your house of horrors is empty. Whatever happens, I've already triumphed. It doesn't matter what you do to me. We'll get them back again, the foul abbess hissed. First, though, I am going to deal with you. The others will care for until their babies arrive. Then we'll dismember their flesh too. We'll take every last infant child and sell them at auction to the highest cash bidder, perhaps to cannibals. We'll have to see who has the best gift or payment to offer. Someone will find out. Gracie stuck her chin out. Not tomorrow or even the next day. But someone will mark this. God above sees you. I will leave it to him to make you pay. Maybe. The abbess shrugged then, but I doubt it. I think darkness awaits, essentially. But I'll have the first victory. You should know how happy your dying cries will make me. Gracie breathed in and caught the scent of wood smoke. Her heart leapt. So the fire had been set. Joan must have struck a match before she ran out. Joan's stillborn son would have his revenge yet. The abbess moved then. There was a loud clicking. The base of her crucifix opened wide. Flickering light showed a long blade beneath it, with a curved edge and a straight cutting side. Now, little rebel, the foul abbess snickered. You will regret the final choice you made. You flouted me. Before, I might have spared you. If you had pleaded like the other maids. My sisters thought I should let you live longer, to reap the harvest growing inside you. But I have changed my mind. It will be worth the cost, if only to be rid of you. She raised the blade, and Gracie's eyes clung to it. Oddly, as if a new choice had been made. By a power greater and far beyond her. Gracie found that she did not feel afraid. She made a wish for the girls out there, running. That they might find help and, at last, safety. Then, she closed her eyes and reached out to the Lord. Dear Father, accept this as my last plea. If you listen to all, even one like me, and your love for me has not ebbed away, do what you will with my soul. I'll not complain. But take my daughter to heaven to stay. 3 things happened then. The abbess lunged forward, her weapon raised. Gracie winced at the sight. She raised her arms and huddled, waiting for pain. When a shadow darted from left to right, behind the cruel harridan, Gracie marked it. So did the abbess. She turned round to see, and held it there, her face pale as the grave. One finger pointed as she bellowed, "Leave!" The abbess blanched. Her rage then became terror. She recoiled from Gracie, arms trembling. She didn't see the edge of the stairs approach, and sped over into dark plummeting. Gracie heard the crack as the woman's neck broke, the crunch as bones, tendons, and joints gave way. At last, she stopped on the bottom stair. Gracie stared down in shock. She had nothing to say. She might have sat, gaping, silent forever, had she not felt a small and frosty hand. It fell on the now bruised skin of her right shoulder. You must get up now, the ghost whispered. Stand. The woman hurt you, yes, but you're not broken. No harm at all has come to your baby. But now you need to rise, quick, and get moving. The other nuns will wake up presently. They aren't as bad as that one there. She nodded. To the abbess. But they still let girls die. Leave here. Take the higher path through the woodland. Follow the fork that angles to the right. Half a mile down, you will see a police car. Stop it. Tell them what the nuns did to you. I'll keep the nuns busy fighting the fire. The manor will still burn tonight, mark you, but not before evidence is found. Most of the girls you freed will be welcome back home. Their folks regret sending them to this foul place. But Gracie, I'm sorry, your people don't. Tell the police your teacher attacked you, and that your parents colluded willingly in the crime of concealing it. They'll find you somewhere to live and raise up your baby. Relief swamped Gracie. She hugged the small ghost girl. She felt solid, although a little cold. What about you? She asked the ghost. The child grinned. I have been too long bound to this dark old and chilly place. When it burns, I'll be released. I hope to see my mom and Gran again in high heaven. When you are safe, pray for me. I will watch over you and all your friends. So Gracie left. Sometimes she ran, then stumbled. In the end, some contraction in the world resulted in the fact that she caught up with the swift forerunners of the other girls. When a slow vehicle came crawling on through the pouring rain, the ladies flagged it down. The young man was bewildered, almost frightened, to see pregnant girls this far out of town, in night dresses and blankets, in pouring rain. He sat the four heaviest in the car and asked their story twice, then once again. Finally, he said, "Please stay where you are. I've called for backup in an ambulance too." Then he raced for the manor at a run. The glow of the fire was visible from here, like the rising of a hellish blood sun. In no time, it seemed, help came. Lights and sirens. The girls heard flames crackling and a rung bell. At last, the girls were taken back into town, and, at the hospital, were pronounced well, if bruised and tired. The nuns had been arrested. There hadn't been just one pregnant body. In the basement of the manor house, out back, in shallow graves, another 93 had been laid, nameless, faceless, and forgotten. Worse were the little skeletons found there, of beloved children born there, imperfect. The nuns had said that it was a waste to care for infants who would not be likely to thrive. They meant, of course, that a child thought ugly could not be passed off as a rich man's offspring. So someone had helped them off presently. Indeed, the police said that some dark power, in the night and smoke, that blotted the sun, must have gripped the nuns, for they concealed nothing. Even told to hush, they still ran their tongues, like ancient mariners or souls at Hell's Gate, who wish they might but can't conceal their sin. No one would ever have the grave misfortune, the nuns' cruel care, to be entrusted in. By the time the fire service reached the manor, there was nothing left for the men to do. Once the rooftop had burned away completely, the soul of young Angelita soared through the blackened timbers. Her mother was waiting to hug her tight. The two watched together until justice was done, and Gracie and her young friends found homes and happiness forever. Subscribe to become a delicious darling. Oh my goodness. This poem chilled me so much that I might need my blanket after all. What scares me more is the fact that the writer of this poem based it on a genuine happening. It is hard to think that anyone could be so heartless. At least Gracie and her friends escaped, and the evil abbess can answer for her actions. And it makes me smile to think of Angelita, home safe with her mother and grandmother. Today's word for the comments is escape. What is the scariest thing you have ever escaped from? A room? A dog? A swarm of bees? Let me know. As always, If you haven't yet, please click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way, you will become an official delicious darling. Right, I am off for an evening walk along the seafront. Not a long one, just enough that the air and sunlight will blow away the remaining cobwebs from our story. To all of you, may the sun shine gently on your shoulders, the night rest warmly on your eyes, and may you always sleep well, my delicious darlings.